Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for episode 1 of a brand new series. I'm just really excited. This has been a long time in the making. This is a series that I like to call Build-A-Figure. Whether it's checking out custom head sculpts, or diorama display bases, or doing body swaps, or mods, or repaints, or kit bashes, or outfit sets. This is the series for all of that creative side of collecting. This is something that I've been meaning to do for a while, because after I finish a review on a figure, 9 times out of 10, they don't go into the collection looking the way they did in the video. I will switch something, or I'll change up the display base, or I'll repaint something, or I'll upgrade the head sculpt. So I'll be focusing on all of that in this series. The first one, we're starting off pretty light. We'll be checking out 3 custom head sculpts, and of course, don't worry, we will pop each of them on their respective figures. For those of you who don't know, and I'm pretty sure most of you do by now, my favourite live-action Batman is Ben Affleck. From the physicality of his performance, to the look of the suit, to his suave Bruce Wayne, he just worked for me where maybe some of the other live-action Batmen didn't as much. Seeing this Frank Miller-esque Batsy on the big screen, it wasn't something that I knew I needed until I saw him in BvS. So much so that we're not just looking at one custom Batman head sculpt, you already saw them laid out in the lightbox, we're looking at 3. That's how far down the rabbit hole I've gone for custom Batman head sculpts. The first one is a Knightmare Batman sculpt, something a little bit different. This was sculpted by Zhao 3D modeler, link to the Insta for Zhao is in the description below. And mine was painted by Bao. Now, if you are talented enough to buy a raw resin cast and paint it yourself, well, that's awesome. I'm definitely not, so I had to rely on Bao, and I'm glad I did because this thing turned out beautifully. The sculpt is on point thanks to Zhao compared to the Hot Toys cowl. There is a massive difference. The Hot Toys one flares out, I think, way too much at the bottom. The ears aren't quite the right shape, and the likeness, I think it's a night and day difference. The Zhao cowl, it's Ben Affleck through and through. The mouth is slightly parted on this one, the mole is more prominent than the Hot Toys cowl. And I did ask for the eyes to be painted up a little, so when you have him looking forward, oh, he looks mean as hell. The skin texture, beautifully sculpted and painted, same thing with the 5 o'clock shadow. It's textural, you can feel it on the surface. And I also asked for the cowl to have this speckling of sand over the top. Compared once again to the Hot Toys one, this is just black, he's in the desert. It would get sandy and it would get filthy. So I wanted it to look like it had been in the desert. They nailed it with the paint applications. Now, you will notice one massive difference. The Hot Toys cowl, it has the tab at the front, and it sticks out at the sides over the traps. Completely unnecessary for the Knightmare cowl, because if you think about it, he's wearing a coat and a scarf, so you can get away with not having the sides of the cowl maximizing articulation forward and back and side to side, and not overly inflating the traps, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I'm pretty darn excited to pop this on the body. So let's do that. This is how these videos, these Build-A-Figure videos are going to work. We're going to look at the parts and pieces individually, check out the detail, the sculpt work, discuss who made the things. Then we'll pop it on the body, or assemble the outfit set, or check out the diorama display base under a figure, you know, stuff like that. That's how this series is going to go. This is the stock Hot Toys cowl with the Daft Toys coat and the Daft Toys scarf. Thank goodness, because the stock Hot Toys coat was truly terrible. This is the BvS version. And the articulation is relatively limited, and the traps, they're very, very bulky. Getting these custom coats onto the body because of the cowl bulking up the sides here as it sticks out underneath the coat, quite challenging. If you've ever tried to put a custom coat on your Knightmare Batman, I'm sure you know what I mean. Whoa, okay. There is a lot to unpack here. This head sculpt doesn't just upgrade the likeness, although it does do that. This looks like the scene where he was asking the mercenaries if they have the kryptonite rock. His mouth is slightly open, so he's saying something, or it could work for mid-battle. Either way, it's a win. His neck is a little bit longer, so that helps with the proportions. And now that the coat isn't being unnecessarily bulked out at the shoulders, it fits him so much better. And the articulation from the head sculpt, because the sides of the cowl are gone, it's so much better. You can turn his head from side to side, which was something that he could do in this cowl. And it looks forward and back more. This is just such a necessary upgrade. If you're on the fence about upgrading your Knightmare Batman because the stock Hot Toys cowl is serviceable, which it is, hopefully this changes your mind. I think you will need this cowl after you've seen it. It is that good. You can, of course, remove the scarf if you want. You can move the goggles down if you so choose. I'm going to leave mine exactly like this. The last thing I would want to do is slide the goggles down and damage the stunning paint applications. Our next Ben Affleck Batman cowl, this one focuses on something else. It also nails the likeness, it's well painted and it's beautifully sculpted. But this one has a party piece. It's been engineered to be way more articulated than the Hot Toys cowl. Now, thanks to Cosplay Chris, we now know how they made the real cowl. This was a rubbery piece, there was an air pocket on the side, there was a skull cap, and this was velcroed down to the suit at the bottom. So Ben Affleck, he could turn his head. And finally, in 1/6 scale, well, he can turn his head now too, thanks to the crazy, the very talented Lucky from Unreal Customs. Link to his Insta in the description. Now that you can turn his head, it opens up so many more possibilities for posing. Previously, with the Hot Toys cowl, you had to turn the whole darn thing, and it mucked up the position of the tab, and it just looked stupid. Compared to the Unreal version, now I can move the head, it looks so much better, and even the likeness is better. There's more detail on the mouth plate, the eyes look fierce, and you can get multiple different mouth plates. They are magnetic. I just went for the stoic, just straight face version, but if you want to go for something that's a little bit more angry and couple that with the added articulation, okay, go for it. Back in the day, when I first got BvS Batman, I really liked this cowl. From certain angles, I still definitely see the likeness to Ben, although his eyes are quite sunken in because of the swappable eye gimmick, and the same thing can be said for the mouth plate. This gap between the cowl and his face is far too big. It looks very unnatural. He does have the cowl tab issue too. When you angle the head sculpt forward, this tab comes down and covers up the bat symbol. Now, in terms of articulation, it does go left to right, forward and back a little, but for swivel, you can see that it just throws off the entire alignment of the cowl. Whereas in the film, this bottom piece would be locked in position and only the head would turn. Dude, we're going from W to W in this video. Unreal Toys, well done, my friend. This cowl, it sits a little bit lower than the stock Hot Toys one, so it makes him look even beefier, if that was possible. The likeness to Ben, tick. The tab doesn't cover up the top of the bat symbol, another tick. I know that bothered so many people, including Deed Knight. And now, the party piece, the improved articulation, I think you're going to be really happy. Looking up, the bottom of the cowl does move, so it'll flex forward and back, but looking down, it'll go pretty far down. It'll also turn left and right, great for dynamic action posing, mid-warehouse fight scene perhaps. And my favorite, you can now tilt from side to side, as though he's listening for something or he's just taunting someone. He's got the Bat brand of justice out and he's ready to brand Lex Luthor. This last Batman head sculpt, it was such a necessary upgrade. I've been meaning to do this one for a very long time. I was just waiting for someone to nail the sculpt. And Zhao 3D Modeler to the rescue once again, he did. And mine was also once again painted by Rockbow. Why is this such a necessary upgrade, I hear you ask? Well, this is the Hot Toys cowl on the right, or the helmet, I should say. It's okay. The likeness is good, it looks like Ben Affleck, and you have a light-up eye. But you shouldn't. This eye, in the film at this point when he was all battle-damaged, his eye was exposed, like this cowl. But that's not the reason I did this upgrade. It's the expression. Dean Knight and I both agreed in our reviews for battle-damaged Armoured Batman that he looked bored. It's like, oh, Superman? Really? Oh, okay, I guess I gotta go fight him. Just so straight-faced, no emotion, and if you have been beat to hell by Superman, a mad Kryptonian at that point, you blasted him with kryptonite gas, so of course he's pissed off, then no, you're not going to be straight-faced. You're gonna look like this. He's bruised and battered underneath his eye. I love that detail. His teeth are gritted. The mole is more prominent as compared to the Hot Toys one. You can barely even see it, but it's there. The 5 o'clock shadow is stunning. The crumpled metal, Yeah, it's all there. It's scratched, it's weathered, and it is a massive upgrade. I learned recently that this was the only armored Batman to feature Ben Affleck's likeness. The normal, just unbattle damaged version and the black chrome version. That wasn't Ben Affleck's face they used for the head sculpt. That was actually his stunt double. There's a really interesting interview out there with Richard Citrone, and he describes the process of being contacted by Hot Toys and them saying they don't have Ben's likeness rights. Will you step in for the head sculpt? And he said yes, and that's how he ended up with that first version without Ben Affleck's likeness. And I think that's why they wanted to do this Toy Fair exclusive battle damage version. It gave them another go, and they probably had the Ben Affleck rights after that. Still, this cowl, this helmet, he looks so bored. So I think when we pop the new head sculpt on, it's going to make a massive difference. Yeah, that hit the nail on the head. I'm never going back to that stock head sculpt. This is now this head sculpt's permanent home. It sits at just the right height. It's a little bit smaller than the stock sculpt, so it helps with proportions. I thought that the stock one was always a little bit too big. And now with that angry expression and the eye showing, it's properly battle damaged, and it works in context to the outfit, whereas the stock one, it just didn't. It does attach to the stock neck connector, so the articulation is the same all the way down to the head tilt. And the color match, thanks to Rockbow painting it as expertly as they did, it's perfect. The armor matches, the silver dry brushing matches, there's some speckling on the surface, and washes in the deeper gashes. Plus, the understructure of the helmet, this black part, it matches the collar piece, which I'm pretty sure would be the same material in the real suit. Now, the best part about going custom for head sculpts is if you're commissioning an artist to paint it for you, you can decide how it looks. You can add some blood to the corner of his mouth, you can make the bruised eye even more bruised, or you can have his eyes looking off to the side. For me, I wanted it to look as screen accurate as possible, so this is what I went with. Wrapping up on episode 1 of Build-A-Figure. This was so much fun. I need to do this more often. It's just nice to sit down, to relax, to look at some custom bits and pieces, and instead of focusing on the next figure and the next figure and the next figure, we get to look at figures that chances are you already own in the collection. And most of the time, I'm guilty of this. I get something, pop it in the display, and move on to the next one. Going back, it's never a bad thing. These head sculpts, I think they were worthy of a showcase like this, and going forward, the more custom head sculpts I get, the more custom outfit sets I get, the more figures that we build, I reckon this series is going to hopefully help more than a few people decide which parts to get and which parts to maybe avoid when you're thinking about upgrading figures in your collection. Head sculpts, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The next video in this series, oh, you're gonna love. I know that I am super excited to get stuck in. For a little hint, at the end of that video, you might just believe that figures can fly. If you are looking to pick up any of these head sculpts or check out the custom artists who painted them, links for all of that in the description below. Let me know if you enjoyed this series, and most importantly, let me know if you're looking forward to more and I can keep that ball rolling. While you are down in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.